About a year ago, through the Economic Alliance, I was asked to participate in a dinner with one of our local political leaders. And we talked about the economic climate in Maryland. And one of the things that we talked about was, what can we do? And this leader said, I think Maryland's pretty good. I mean, we've got the mountains, the bay, the beaches, we've got biotech, and we've got NSA, we've got great schools, great universities. I said, I think it's a pretty good place. I said, I agree with you completely. We have tremendous assets, but the benefits we have, we should be a top 10 economy. And his answer to me was, well, aren't we? And I was flabbergasted. I'm thinking, here we are, we're somewhere between—
This is an elected official.
An elected official, a leader who didn't understand that we were not performing close to our potential. And I realized then that I think our elected leaders, in fact, many people that are outside of business, when you see, the websites or the articles in magazines about best places to live, the metric that they use is often per capita income. Per capita income has very little to do with economic growth. Economic growth is measured by the GDP of a region. I explained that businesses hire people because they need to, not because they can afford to. Economic growth is about demand for goods and services. When we have demand for goods and services, people hire people. Per capita income is about wealth. You don't hire people because you can afford to, you hire people because you need to.
Mm. Yeah. I was going to touch on your metaphor about the nuclear reactor and the dampening rods. I think one of the points that we need to always consider, and it seems to be lost on a lot of the legislators, is, so Wealth of States talks about the fact that clearly taxation is a big dampening rod in your metaphor. But the problem is it's all very cumulative and multiplicative. So here's this one dampening rod of heavier taxation than we have in some of the competing surrounding states. But then you add to that the estate tax. You add to that we're not right to work, but Virginia is. You add to that we have very few Fortune 500 companies as opposed to what they have. You add to that a lot of the other cumulative effects of what is happening in the regulatory environment with businesses, where so many businesses feel like they have a target on their back. And well, why are you taxing business? One of the answers was, well, because that's where the money is. Well, that's a completely screwed up concept. But when you put all of those dampening rods together, it's a multiplicative effect. It's not just additive.
Most Marylanders are paying close to 9% personal income taxes when you add the 5.25% that they may be in as high earners, and then you add another 2.5% or so in most jurisdictions. So you're getting real close to 9%, and that's too high. The challenge is, how do we fund local government without depending on the piggyback tax? These are hard issues. One of the things that we're seeing is a lot of states are actually reducing tax rates. The states of which we're competing right now, I can give you some examples. Illinois has reduced their personal income tax from 5% to 3.75. North Carolina has reduced theirs from 7.75 to 5.75. Remember, this is in the context of Maryland being almost 9%. South Carolina has no personal income tax. Texas doesn't. Florida doesn't. So when you throw that piggyback tax in, and it's a difficult issue to figure out how. It's not a matter of just reducing a tax rate. We have to look at other ways of funding government operations, and we also have to look at efficiency in government as well.
So one of the differences you're pointing out is in your Colorado example, that's more of a consumption tax because it's a sales tax as you're using goods and services. But in this case, it's taxing income. So it's an old axiom in economics that what you tax, you get less of. What you subsidize, you get more of.
That's a great example.
As we tax more income, we're going to get less income. You looked at what the millionaires tax. The business community screamed from the rooftops, don't make that because they're all going to leave, and then they all left. The next year they're all gone.
Look at the so-called sin taxes. If they want people to smoke less for health reasons, well, we'll raise the tax on cigarettes and reduce cigarette consumption. You say that drinking alcohol is not healthy for people, so we actually raised the sales tax on alcohol. I think is actually 9% in Maryland now. So the idea, when you want less of something, you tax it more. So why, if we want more income, why are we taxing it more?
The same analogy goes with jobs too. If you want more jobs, don't make it more difficult to hire. Don't take away employers' abilities to look at someone's criminal record. Don't mandate that they must make a certain high minimum wage that is not sustainable. If you mandate those things, the jobs go away. It's not difficult stuff to think about. They're not difficult concepts. And again, I'll go back to wealth of states. You can see it empirically in the data. Those states that score well on all of those topics, they grow like crazy. Those states that squelch job growth, they don't grow.